In today's video, I will talk about sample mode in Ketron SD90, SD9, SD60. I was working on beta version from New Year for several months, and I can see that comparing to beta version, some things are improved, and I will tell you what is improved. And I can see that sampler is good, is really good, usable, it works. And you can do a lot of stuff, very interesting stuff with this sampler, and it is on professional level. It is not so complex like in Genus and Korg, but in some situation works better than on Genus if we are talking about editing of the samples, and can come very close to the Korg, but of course we cannot have everything in, the same in all keyboards. Now let us go to sampling mode by pressing menu and audio sample, and now instead of audio editing we'll go to sample mode. Before I go to sample mode, I want to explain you something that you should know. I will go to my computer. Now on my screen here I have folder where I have saved complete things that I have on my, come on, move this, oh my god, little problem with this guy. Okay, now this folder here, I'll move it, is Ketron folder where I have everything saved what I have inside of my Ketron. I will open this. You can see that if you save it, or you can connect your Ketron with USB cable, and you can see, you can go directly to your Ketron hard drive. Now, but everything what you will see there, it is here. Now there is sample folder. Inside of the sample folder is several folders. Actually those folders I put there. Those are my folders. Okay, just a moment. When you have created your samples and you put them in folder, you will move them after that in your Ketron in sample folder, like me. Those are folders. Inside of that folder I can see my samples. All those samples are inside. If you want to do manually making a multi-samples inside of your SD90, you will do that on this way. You will create samples, you will put them in this folder, and you will put them inside of your inside of your Ketron hard drive in sample folder. Now I want to tell you that you can put maximum number of samples. Maximum numbers is 30 multi-samples. Every multi-sample can have until 32 samples. I suggest to you to put 18 samples. Why? If you have 18 samples, you will make zones, 18 zones of the samples that you will see later in my video. And then in this case, you will not be in trouble to having all 30 multi-samples. If you have, in every multi-sample, if you have 32 samples, then you cannot get 30 multi-samples because you are limited with memory. That's why use a rule that you can have, for example, let us say 18 multi-samples, 18 samples inside of multi-sample. If you have samples like violin, clarinet, strings, or something that requires looping, then your sample should be 3 to 4 seconds, maximally 5 seconds. It doesn't need to be longer, because if you make good loop, it will work perfectly fine. With 44 100,000 kilohertz and 16 bit. So if you are doing bass guitar samples, it should be 10 seconds. If you are going to do piano samples, let it sound longer. For example, let it sound for 12 seconds. Because 12 seconds is enough. In measure 4/4, it will be 3 measure holding of the piano. So it is more than enough. Now, if you are doing like bouzouki or something, or those kind of instruments that are they have short sound, it is like going to be something like 6 seconds. If you are doing drums, then all elements like snare, kicks could be, and toms could be around 6 seconds to 8 seconds, but your cymbal could be 10 or 12 seconds because they are not looped and they have to sound. You need some headroom. You cannot cut it and lose your headroom of your drum, because then drum is not going to sound fine. Now, when you have that in rule and about samples, now I will tell you something else. Beside of putting everything in folder and samples in folder and doing that on machine, you can do creation of samples in a Wave Studio, what is much easier and faster, and you have everything visible here. Or if you have multi-sample created, for example, some multi-sample that is created for Korg instrument. Let me see, where do I have some multi-samples? Okay, let's see, I will open one. There I have multi-samples from accordion. I'll open one of those multi-samples. I have here samples, it is multi-samples. It has, let me see how many samples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, actually 25. So, I can put it 18 samples. If that instrument is very important to me, I can keep 25 samples if it's important to me. But then on some instruments, I don't have so much samples. For example, bouzouki, I have 2 or 3 samples, or no, bouzouki. So I have less samples. But here, I can keep number of samples, maximum 32. But I can keep it, for example, 25 if I really like that instrument. In most situations, I will go to the 18 samples and do that mapping of the instruments here, proper mapping, in that layering. When I press, it is show me here which kind of mapping do you have, what is my root key, and everything is here. I can see that. So now, but this instrument, I can convert, save as SF2. It is something that is compatible to Ketron, and I will put it to my desktop. Just a moment. Save. I think it is already going to my desktop. Let me see where. Korg. Yeah. Desktop. Okay, now I will save it to desktop, and now I have here my SF2 format multi-sample ready for my Ketron, and I will put it in instrument folder, in edit folder. Here, you can see them here, instrument edit folder. There is place where you put them. If you don't put in proper place, you cannot find them. But those here, multi-samples that you see, actually, those are done samples by me, and you can, there are already Ketron format samples inside of my Ketron. They will appear here when you make your multi-samples. They will appear here. Now you can see I have my, here, look at drum kits. I have my multi-samples. Everything is actually here created. Now let us go back to Ketron. Now when you got idea, now we are inside of, remember we went inside by pressing menu. Let me go back. Maybe you forgot. Menu, audio sample, sample edit. Now automatically we are here in our sample folder, where we can now find all those folders with our samples. Now I'll press bouzouki slide twice, and now I will get list of my samples. Press one, press twice, and you will get that sample on this side. By the pressing on this note, now I have to do my zone, from where to which note it is going that sample. When I press there, on right side, you can see those information here. Now I have to know which note is that sample. On which note is that sample? So if I know which note, if is that, for example, C2, I press on key C2, or I can adjust it here, C2. But it is easier if I press on C2 key on keyboard, automatically it will show C2, and it will go to this, jump to this part. And for example, I want to go that sample from C2 to C2. I will put root key C2. When I press the root key, just press key C2, and you will get C2 right away. And you have one sample. Add another sample. press twice, another sample. I will press key D2 and it will go to D sharp, root key, press key D2, and I have D2. Don't do anything else here, because attack and those things, you can do that in a sound editing mode. Now velocity, don't change it. If you want to do some of those things, if you have to do, if you are using one sample for more zones, to creating more zones, then you can do coarser fine tuning. But I don't suggest to do that. Just make proper sample of the instrument. Now, when you have everything ready, when you have all those samples, like more samples, let us say all of them, now press voice drum assign and say that bouzouki is going to ethnic instruments. Check ethnic, press save, save as, give it name, and that is done. Now, if you have convert a sample from Korg or Genus and you want to import in SD90, you will press load instrument. Load instrument, yes. And now you will get that edit folder. You remember that edit folder that you can find in instrument folder? Now, somehow you have to press multiple times to edit folder. I know that my multi-samples are there, but if you press once, nothing will happen. It will press twice, nothing will happen. If you press 3 times, it may open, but it may not open. You have to press several times to open. That is something that those Ketron people, they have to fix that. But at least it works. Just keep pressing on that folder until it is open, and you will get all those multi-samples. Click on one sample once, click twice, and it is asking you, do you want to extract those samples or import? You will say import. And now it is importing those samples. Now it is waiting for a bit. If you have more samples, it will wait longer. And sometimes it will ask me to, after importing, to finalize that sample, not finalize, something like that. But anyway, just wait. Don't be confused. Don't think keyboard is frozen. You will spend some time and it will be there. My samples are here. You can see their mapping. Their mapping is here. When you press on instrument, you can see, for example, it goes from D to E2, but root key is E flat. It goes from B2 to C3, but root key is B flat. So when you sample instrument, I suggest to you, instead of those numbers, put exactly on which note did you sample that instruments. This is happening to me because it was sampled long time ago, from the time when Korg PA2 was on market, and it is converted from that Korg PA2 to PA3, PA4, and now it's converted to SD90, and that's why whoever did this sampling, he didn't put, actually it says here C3 something, but that is not correct name. So somebody didn't do that job correctly in naming those samples. But I found out which samples are those samples, and I, by listening to them, and I can write it down. I can rewrite name of this in Awave. You can rewrite names and make sure with which sample you are dealing. Now, when you have everything done, you just press voice drum assign, press group of the instruments. It is guitar in this case, and press save, put it name, and then it is saved. So that is everything that you should know about sampling mode in Ketron. Very simple, very well done, and it works good. It is not so complicated like Korg or Genus. It doesn't have layers. It has some limitation compared to those keyboards, but this sampler is something that is decent, that works, that you can use, is usable, sounds better than in my beta version, sounds like okay, fine to me. Doesn't sound so well like original sounds, and doesn't sound so well like on Korg on Genus, but it's very near to that quality, and it is good quality, usable and good quality. Now, where are saved those sounds? If you choose one sound from, let us say, factory, and you hold it, and now here in voices, if you are looking for accordion, in accordion group, after all those sounds that are factory sounds, you will get window with all those multi-samples, soprano, master, basso, clarinet, harmonium, all those are registered, recorded from, sampled from accordion Guarini Superior 2. Now you just choose instrument, and after that you do your editing in sound mode, volume, reverb, shift, tune, pan. You have next window, you have velocity, fixed velocity, you have sustain, you have portamento, module, pitch, aftertouch, slide, then you have wah wah effect, harmony, legato, you have attack, decay, sustain, release, cutoff. You have a lot of functions, and then you come to insert section. In insert section, you can choose effect. There's tons of effects. When you choose effect, you go to edit, then you edit that effect, or you can even do this. By the time you are here, you can go to keyboard control, get those pedals here, go directly to delay that you want to choose, and then after that, go back to my instrument. Don't change anything. Press this to open that instrument, and then here in this phase you can do adjusting, editing, and you can save it as a user instrument or factory overwrite. If you overwrite factory sound, you will not be able to change name of the factory sound, but if you are not satisfied with that, you can do factory restore and get back your sound that you had there. But you can just save it on user place, not by pressing save button and saving that on user place. Well, let me go save, and then save as, and you can find location and save it. Now I did save all my instruments samples to user. I gave them names, but I saved them to the factory. Why? Because still Ketron didn't figure out those things about user sound and MIDI messages. And I'm using MIDI controller and Cubase, and calling those samples through Cubase, calling those samples through MIDI controller. So I need that control. So that's why the best sounds I saved on some factory sounds that I don't really like. But when we have opportunity to control them from user positions, in this case, we will be able to use user sounds, and we will be able just to go back to the factory sounds by the pressing factory restore button. So now that is story about multi-samples, creating, how they work, where are they, and we can use now them here in styles. Now if you have style, accordion, and then you can find your accordion. You can use them in styles, you can use them as a solo instruments, you can use them wherever you want to use them. So that is now lesson about creating multi-samples solo instruments. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe this channel. Tihomir is today with you. Have a nice day.